Hello, everybody. I think it's time now, 3 o'clock in Finland and something else in the other regions. So warmly welcome to this W Power Communications seminar, Enhance Your Communication Skills. And today we have our trainer, Piritta Seppälä from Viestintä-Piritta Ltd, leading the webinar today. So you are warmly welcome. Take the floor, thanks.
Thank you, Helena. I will put my picture here for a while so you can see who is talking here. Hello, everybody. My name is Piritta Seppälä and greetings from Finland. It seems to be that there is quite a international audience today, so nice to see you all. And hello to you too who are watching the recording which we are making of this session. So we'll have 1.5 hours and we will have one short break in between the training. And I will tell you a few words first about how we proceed during the session, and then I will continue with my issue today, which is writing online and blogging. That's like the issue. But anyway, my name is Piritta and I will be talking here 1.5 hours, and you are able to use the chat all the time during my speech. I will show my slides, and when I'm showing my slides, I'm not watching the chat, but you can write there all the time. So you can check where you find it. You can find it from the right side of the screen. From there is a short purple thing where to push, and then you can find the chat screen. You can try to find it and write hello there if you want to. So feel free to ask any questions. I try to answer them as much as I can. And as said, we are making a recording of this, so if you have to leave in between, so you can come back later, or you check the rest from the recording, which you will get later on. Also, you will have, as a participant to this from this webinar, you will have my presentation, so the slides will be posted to you later. And also, even though I haven't started yet the issue, I will remind you to also give feedback for us later about this training and webinar. But now, as the thing is that we have a huge issue today, so I will start telling you about the online writing, web pages, also search engine optimization, and then also about blogging and how to write to the blog. And so that I won't forget, first of all, a big thanks to all of you who answered also the survey beforehand. So I got a very good information from you about what's your status with online writing and blogging. It seems to be so that there are people who have been writing a little bit to online, and some of you have been writing more. Some of you are planning to put up a web page, and some of you would like to use a blog easier, more with your company and marketing. So try to get the best tips for your situation about the things what I'm telling you today. Okay, but I will close my camera now and put my slides on so you can see the things that I'm talking about. And remember that you can all the time write questions to the chat. That is good to do. I'll open up my slides and let's go back to the slides. If Helena or Satu, if you can tell me that the slides have started to roll. There should be my introduction slide now.
They are rolling, yes, perfectly.
Great. Thank you. So let's begin. Few words about me first of all. My name is, so as you heard, my name is Piritta Seppälä, and my company name is Viestintä-Piritta in Finnish, but in English it's something called Piritta Communications. There is me, I have one employee and also 9 trainers who are working around Finland to do social media communications and online trainings in different issues. I've been doing this for over 10 years, and I have been also training in English, but not that often, so bother me if I have some not correct words in every time when I'm talking about. Okay, but anyway, Viestintä-Piritta, so to say, is a small company working around Finland with communication, social media, and online issues. And that's why I am here to talk to you too about these things. I will begin with the question, why does every company need a web page? That is the first thing that we think, and I will also give you some tips what would be the most important things to put on the different web pages. And I'm talking about things when a company, for example, puts up a web page. And then later on today, at the end part of the webinar, I will go to blogging, and we will talk about what is a blog and how does the blog divides from the web page, so that you get the idea of that. But the main thing about today is how to write blog texts or how to write online web pages overall. So how to write online texts. And that is the thing that we focus on mostly, because writing online, either it is to web pages or if it is to blogs, the same basic rules are in both of these. So you will get tips to write online texts or blog posts, and also tips what are good web pages, what should you bring out there, and also tips on what kind of blog posts you could write. And then also at the end of the webinar, there are a few tips on what kind of blogging platforms you could have. But there we go. Let's begin with the thing and think about why do we need web pages. And now we think as entrepreneurs, if you are an entrepreneur and have your own company, so you can think about this via your company. Or if you're not an entrepreneur, but you have been thinking of putting up a page, so here you can get tips to that. First of all, the thing today is that we search things from the internet. So if there is a company, the company is not at all there if you're online. So you have to have a company web page to be found. And you can be found by putting up the company webpage where you tell what you are and what you do and what your company is about. So when you have a web page, then you are visible. Then people can find you when they are searching a company that provides things that your company is providing. So let the people find you. And this is kind of a thing that goes all through this webinar. We have to be found by the people we want to be in touch with. So before even going further, I remind you to think, who are your customers? Who are the target groups and groups of people that you want to reach? Think always about that. Even if you are writing a single blog post, or you are creating a web page for your company, always think, who is the person on the other side? Who is the person you want to reach? That is the goal and main thing, to write things to those people. So let the right people find you. And pardon me for having this example in Finnish. I will explain you why it is in Finnish. I have two screenshots in Finnish, which is concerning my own company. So I'm telling shortly about this issue via my own company. So my company is providing communications trainings to different kinds of organizations. So communications trainings, social media consulting, we are doing strategies in communication and social media, etc. So I should start thinking that how do people search from Google, for example? How do people search help in communications training? What words do they use in Google when they search something that is about my company? When they search things that I provide. So in this example, the keyword up there is viestintäkoulutus, which means communications training. So when I put that in Google, I check if I am found with my company under that search. So this is something you should do every now and then. Are you found with the keywords that your customers use when they search things that you provide to them? So are you found with the right keywords? Go inside to the people's mind. And this idea is very important when we also talk about search engine optimization. So if you think about how to be found from the internet when people are searching and Googling things that you provide in your company, you should go inside to that person's mind that is Googling things that you provide. So think about your products and services with the mind of your customer. Think about how the person who needs your services or your products, how does that person Google things? What is that person needing? And this is the number one question when making yourself visible and making your web pages and blog posts to be found in the internet and in the Google and in other search engines. Think about how your customers think. I made a list about different kind of things that you could use when trying to find the right ways to talk about your things to the people you want to talk about. So so you should be answering these questions in order to find those right keywords and phrases that people might use when they try to find a person or a company like yours. So first of all, take some time, not you don't have to do it now, but take some time at some point where you list all your products and services. Make a list of them. List them to the paper and think about, is this all? And then continue thinking that how do these products and services, for example, help people? How do you help people? Or what are you providing to the people? What are the things that they want to they need from you? Why do people turn into you and to your company? What are the things that you provide to them? So answer these questions. And then start thinking about what kind of words would describe your products and services the best. And try to find words that are as normal as possible. You might be using some certain words, some specific words in your own language. I mean, and by language, I mean the company language. But the most important thing is that you should find the language and the words and the phrases what people use when they search your products and services without even knowing that you are there yet. So list your products and services. List under the products and services. Think, how do these help people? Then think, what words describe normally these things that you provide to the people. Then think, who are the people you want to reach? What kind of people do you want to get involved with you and your company? What people, what are they? Are they old? Are they young? Where do they live? Do they go outdoors or do they stay inside? Or are they athletes, or are they persons who are not that much 40 but they want to do something? Or are they people who want to buy handicrafts for presents? Are they women or men or some other people? Who are the people? Try to find as specific a meaning for your target groups that you know who you want to reach. And then you start to do a list about the things that you provide to the people in a way that you write to those people who you want to be your customers, or those people who you want to read your blog posts. Think about the people behind the screen. So you have to go inside to that person's head who searches your products and services, and you have to use the same language that the people use. And by language, I mean words and phrases, and to be very clear in online writing in your web pages or blog posts. Try to write normally about the things which you are writing about. Be as clear and normal as you can be. Know the people you want to reach. So here we go to the other example in Finnish. This is also a Google search. But after this thing that first I was showing you, that I was thinking that, oh, okay, we are doing in Viestintä-Piritta, we are doing Viestintäkoulutus, which means communicational training. Well, that is clear, but now I started to think about the thing that we work with non-profit organizations quite a lot. So we provide we provide expert trainings for non-profit organizations, which is a different thing than to talk to the companies. So I tried to Google whether we are found when someone is searching communicational training for non-profit organizations. So this way you can specify the things that you provide, and do by thinking that how do people who are your customers specify their phrases and Google searches. That way you can find the right phrases and right words to be used in your online content. Either it is your web page, or either it is your blog posting. Specify the things how people search your content. That way you can start building content that people understand and people find when they are searching your things, your products and services, and the things you want to give to the people. So here is the beginning to the whole thing. Okay, I told you in the beginning that I will give you some tips about what are the things that at least you should have on a website when you create a website, or when you make your website working better. So here are a few examples. First of all, I was trying to find via Google. Actually, I was thinking that I want to find a northern company from Finland, or overall in Lapland, from Lapland, a small company that provides handicrafts and some other traveling services in Lapland. So I Googled that kind of company, and I found this Lauri Guest House and Handicraft Factory Shop. So Lauri Guest House and Handicraft Factory Shop has an honor now to be as an example here in this part of my training. So there are two things that I suggest for you to pay attention on your web pages and websites that you should at least have there. The first thing is the most important. What are your products and services, and how do a person finds them when a person comes to your web page, either by the address that he or she knows about, or either via Google, for example, or via social media. So create a web page that gives people clearly, shows people clearly what you are and what you do, what is it that your company provides. This is the first page, the homepage of this Lauri Guest House and Handicraft Factory shop. In the homepage, it tells immediately that, okay, this is there is a new online store, global shipping. Okay, factory shop is open. Then, that it's also a guest house and I can book online. Okay, good to know. But on top there, in navigation, you find homepage, which is this that you are seeing now, but also the products and services. There's a guest house, there's the gift shop, there are activities and meeting facilities. So these are the main things that they provide. So these are in navigation so that the people can find them when they're searching something like that, either from this website or from the Google. So remember to be specific also in navigation, which are those 4 circles on top of this picture. So bring out your products and services clearly and easily out on your website so people know what you provide to them. And the second thing, if you are doing nothing else but this, then pay attention. If you're doing only a very simple web page, the other thing that you need is contact info. You can do it so that it says that what is your company name, what is your address, where are you located, and there could be a phone number and email address. That could be enough. If you have social media channels, then you can bring them out as this Lauri has brought. So there are Facebook, Instagram, and TripAdvisor links in all the time in this web page on the left side of the page. And then, if you want to, and if your platform, the website platform, makes it possible, which usually is easy to do and pretty much available on modern websites. So there is a form where a person can send a contact form, send us a message, where a person puts name, subject, email, and a message. And that comes to the email of the company. So you can make it easy to people to contact you, not just by saying, send me email to this address, but giving a form to fill up so a person can fill it up and no need to go to email, but fill up the contact text here. This Lauri company has also a map, which is showing at the end of the page. It's showing where this place is located. So a person, if a person is coming to Rovaniemi, they see that, okay, it's quite in the center, so I might go there and pay a visit. So there are the 2 things that you should pay attention on your web page. At least bring out your products and services clearly. Also in navigation, tell people what is behind each page on your website, and pay attention to contact info and give it to the people. Then few extras which you could use. If you have some testimonials from people that they have been telling how great services you provide them, write them down to your webpage. Or if you have a gallery like this Lauri place has, bring out the gallery with the pictures. People want to see pictures, especially if it's about handicrafts or a cafe or accommodation. Give people pictures. Use pictures. It's always good. And if you have like this place is there's accommodation, so they are using TripAdvisor for the reviews. So use like third-party applications if possible, or gather the testimonials by yourself and write them down to your website by yourself. That's like what we do, for example, in Viestintä-Piritta. Then some extras. People are always interested about the background, about the history of different kinds of organizations. So if you have a history, tell it to the people. You can tell the history of your company or history of your blog, and you can tell who is behind the company. For example, for me, it's always very interesting to go to see who are the people who are working with different companies, for example, in my area in communications. So somehow at some part of your website, bring out the people. So this Laura company has brought people out by presenting, for example, the people who are making the handicrafts. There's a picture, a screenshot from Julia, who is doing some handicrafts to the shop. Also on the page nearby the contact info is this our team. There's a picture of the team who is running that place. It always, when you give the face to your company and also to your blog, it's always more interesting than just like a page where no one knows who is behind there, who is writing these texts, who is running this place, who is doing this jewelry. So think about how you can present your company, how you can present your people. Okay, then we continue more deeply to the writing online, and we go to the talking to your target groups. This is what I already opened up earlier, and I will come back to this during the whole training. So the main thing here is the better we talk to the people we want to reach, the better we succeed online. It's online on websites and blog posts, but also on social media. We have to talk to the people, and not just all the people, but specify our stories and our writings exactly to those certain target groups that the stories or the products are really good. So think who are the people you really want to reach. It was the thing that think about how old or young, men or female, athletes, non-athletes, outdoor going, not outdoor going, travelers, not travelers, like whatever it is, specify your target group. And then start telling them what they need to know about your things. Help them with your texts and your products and your services. So think about what people need from you and give that to them in your online content. What people can get from you, how you can help them in different issues. Give people answers in your texts, and you can make yourself found also better that way. So know your audience, know your customers, know your target groups, know the people you want to talk about, specify the different groups and talk to them online. That way you can succeed. So I will be bringing up this person, the people. Remember the people, know your people. That is a very good, very important thing. But when we go to online writing, in this slide you can see one of the most important things as well in online content. So try to be short, that's one thing, and try to be understandable. So the meaning of using the same language is not only the Finnish or English or Swedish or Italian or Scottish. It's the same words and phrases those people are using that you want to reach. So be understandable and write a text that is easy to read. Use the words those people are using that you want to reach. Add those phrases to your texts and your headlines and your links. But also try to be clear on what you are saying. Say things normally. that is something that I use in Finnish trainings when I'm training the same thing in Finnish. Say things normally, and you can be found more easily. So here, the beginning, and then we go to concrete writing online tips. At this point, Satu and Helena, is there any questions coming in a chat at this point?
No, unfortunately, not any questions by this far.
No questions. So, okay, yes. Remember to put questions about anything if you want to ask. So we check these out. Thank you for this. Okay, let's continue. Tips for writing online. This is a big area, but it's not that difficult. Actually, one of you who answered the survey before the training said that, oh, it is difficult for me to write. I don't know how to write. You can think about it that it's not, don't make it too difficult for yourself, just start writing. And I have picked up here a few tips that every one of you can use. And also one thing here before going to the tips, one place to practice writing and practice especially online writing is on everyone's hands almost every day, I believe. It's email. So when you pick up these tips that I'm giving you, you can train yourself on these tips by writing email, because the email is everyday everyday place where we write things. So you can think about email as your practice area. So try to put these tips to email what you write, and you can make yourself a better writer all the time. First, starting with numbers. This is something that some people find a good way to remember certain most important things in online writing. Thinking about it by numbers. First of all, it's difficult to say numbers, what is a good length for an online article or a blog post, because sometimes an article can be one paragraph, or it can be 2 pages or even more. So it's always about the thing, what you are writing about. But one thing, what is important to remember is that always write about one thing at a time. One thing at a time. So that leads you to the right way. Sometimes when I am writing, for example, some social media tips to social media, like how to use Facebook right or something like that, I notice myself that my text gets very, very long, like it's like 3 pages in Word, for example. Then I start thinking that what is the thing? Have I been writing about many things in the same text? And usually that's the way it is. So if you notice that your text is getting wider and wider and longer, think about it and read it through and try to see if you have written about many things in one text. So the best way to get your message through in blog posts or in the web pages, websites, always write about one issue per article. Of course, there are times that you might have to put many things on the same site, but usually this is a normal advice, one issue per article. And then when we use the same idea, the second bullet here, one issue per paragraph. So that is one thing that you can also practice, especially in the email. For example, I do that. I practice my paragraph length in email. And the paragraph is like is a part of the text that has many lines, one after another. So when writing online, one basic rule that you could use is write paragraphs that are maximum 5 lines long. If your paragraph consists more than 5 lines, usually you might find that you have written about more issues in one paragraph than only one. But if it's difficult to think that how many things is in my paragraph, it might be easier that you think that how long I wrote. Now I wrote 7 lines altogether, so that's a bit long. I should cut it maybe in half. So when you start reading the content, you might find that there are 2 or even more things in the same paragraph. But try to practice yourself and when writing emails, try to remember this 5 lines rule. Maximum 5 lines and then change a paragraph. Put a line in between and start another one. And then when we go deeper and deeper to the text, first when we remember 1 issue per article, 1 issue per paragraph, or maximum 5 lines in 1 paragraph, and then change, then put a line in between, and then change a paragraph. Also another thing, especially to online writing, after 3 or 4 paragraphs after one another, you should use something that cuts the text. And by cutting the text, I mean putting a subtitle, like a small headline in between the text, or adding a picture in your text, or adding, for example, a list inside your text. That helps people to read your online text easier. If you have long paragraphs, line after another, line after another, line after another, our eyes cannot read that, because our eyes read online differently than what we read the book or newspaper. So remember, cut your text in pieces. Use subtitles, use pictures, use lists, and give people's eyes time to relax in between your text. So 1 issue per article, 1 issue per paragraph, maximum 5 lines long paragraphs, and cut your text in pieces with some kind of thing after 3 or 4 paragraphs. And be short enough. I asked you in this survey before the training, I asked you what do you think that is a good online text? And most of, I think almost all of you who replied to the questionnaire, replied that a text that is enough short. And that is very important thing to remember. Say only what you have to say, nothing more. That is enough. So that way you can also make online writing easier to read. So leave all the extra stuff outside your text. You can start by writing the text like on a computer with the Word or some other way. You can write the text and make it long for first, but then start to put it more short. So always try to remember what is the main thing you want to say. What is the most important message in your text that you want to say? So that is the main thing you are writing about. And if you have hard time to remember what is the main thing you are writing about, then you can do so that you can, for example, you can put a post-it note next to your computer and write your most important message and the key info about your text to that post-it note. And then you can always see when you are writing that, what am I writing about? What is the most important message, the most important thing? What are you writing about? Write about that thing. And then you can start thinking, is there some things that I need to say also, like background info? And have I written some background info that is not necessary to say in this context that I have written? Or is there something in my text that I have written that has nothing to do with the issue that I have started to write? And then if you find these kinds of things, you can just cut them out and delete them from your text. So let yourself delete the things that are not necessary things to be said. And almost also remember that if something is already said online, you can put a link on that stuff. You don't have to say it again. So that the linking between different sites and texts is also a very good way to give people more info without copying it in your text if you are talking about something else. So always remember, what do you want to say? What is the most important message? And again, write this message to the person it is meant to be read. Write to the people. And then we move on. There are tips on this first part of how to write online, but then we move on to headlines and so on. But first, when you write in your text, think about these things. You will get tips to headlines, for example, later, sooner or later during this webinar. But anyway, think about always when you know what you have written about, what are you writing about, what is the promise your headline gives to the people that you have written the text? What is it that you promise in headline, and that promise you have to keep in your text? What you promise in your headline, keep that promise in your text. Always check that. That also goes hand in hand with search engine optimization. Google and other search engines, they are checking out how the headline goes together with the text you have written. That's one thing among the many other things. And also you can check when you have written your text. Is there something that is not relevant to the text you wanted to about the message you wanted to tell? So feel free to delete the things that are not needed to say in this text. You can write another text about those things later. And also start checking the numbers that we went through in your text. How many paragraphs is there one after another? Is it more than 4? And if so, then start to think if you can put just some subtitles in between, or have you been listing things in your sentences? Could you put those listed things from the sentences as bullets in between your text? Also, one thing that you can check when you have written a text, check, have you been repeating the same words one after another? If so, then you can start thinking synonyms for these words. Try to say and present yourself in multiple ways, in different kind of words and different kind of ways. Here we go. I think that as we are in this part now, I think we could have the short break at this point, because now we go to the structure of the text, which goes to the headline and to the introduction and to the subtitles and all the other parts of the texts, which goes both to web pages, website texts, and also to the blog posts. The same tips and tricks are usable in both of them. So maybe we take the short break in this part, and we continue in 6.5 minutes. So then we can continue from here to the end in a way that we have the whole thing all together. So let's take a short break and continue 10 to 4. So 6.5 minutes break. So let's continue 10 to 4. And remember, write questions to chat if you have any questions about this. Online and share my screen, so we continue to slides and structure of online texts and also blog posts. So now you should be seeing a headline tips which are coming now. So about the headline, whatever you are writing online, the headline is the most important thing, or at least the most important thing. Of course, your text is the most important thing, but headline is the thing that people usually see first when they see your text anywhere. If someone shares your text, or you share your text to social media, people see the headline usually first there. If someone Googles your website, your things or your writings, they find your headline first. So always put effort on headline. And few tips how to make a headline good. For example, the first one, add verb to your headline. It makes it more easier to read and understand what you're trying to say in your headline. Remember that the headline should be about the same thing that you have written about, as said before. That is also the SEO, the search engine optimization thing, but also try to describe your thing you are writing about shortly in your headline. Describe what the text is about. So remember that the headline is the part of your text that makes people want to read your text. You can also, there are a few techniques that people are using when they are writing. For example, me, I do it in a way that when I start writing about something, I kind of make a headline that is not the finished one. I just write something that this is the issue that I'm writing about, and then I write the text, and then I make the text well enough, and then the last thing that I do is to do the headline. So that's one way you can do it. And you can be creative in headline, and I will show you a few examples now about the headlines, so you can use those also in your own writings. But always remember, the headline is the thing that people usually see first, so pay attention to it. And also, if you really want to be found with that special text from Google and other search engines, then you should think about how people are Googling and searching the specific issue you are writing about. So think about that. When you want your text to be found, pay attention to the headline and add there the information what people use when they are Googling the thing that you are serving in that special text. Here I picked up meaningfully this special blog post, which is one example in this material, because you can go through this blog writing, which is about how to write a blog post in 2020. So there is a link for this writing, and it's a very long guide to write good blog posts. So you can use that also after this training to find more tips on writing if you wish to do so. I do not know the smart blogger better, or I do not know the Liz who has written this blog post, but it's a fresh blog post. And if you guess, you might answer, you might know that I found this by Googling. So there are things correct with what I Googled. I was Googling how to write a good blog post. So I found this article, which is really good article. So I suggest for you to read it. But headline examples here. This is from Visit Lapland's, our Lapland blog, which is like Visit Lapland blog area. So there are a few examples about different kinds of headlines that people have been using or use in when writing blog posts or articles to your websites. For example, the third one, where to rent winter clothing in Lapland. That is pretty often used when you want to provide people information about something like that. It's same kind of like how to do something, like how to write a blog post. So where to rent winter clothing in Lapland. That is exactly the thing that I could write down to Google if I was searching for answer where to rent winter clothing in Lapland, as I am coming, for example, from Southern Europe and going to Lapland, and I do not have those warm winter clothing. So that goes together with that. Then there's also the fourth one. There is this line way to do it. Lapland summer camping adventure. What was so special about it? So first you say what you're writing about, and then you add a question. Remember also that when you use a question headline, try to think what is the answer to the question. What was so special about it? So I'm thinking, I don't know, I want to read more. But if the answer is yes or no, then you should change the question somehow. It's, for example, like if this headline was Lapland summer camping adventure, was it fun? Then I'm like, yes, no, I don't know. So then I should create it more interesting, so that the answer to the question is always something else than yes or no. Here's also two examples from headlines, and also to think that you can use the pictures and add to the pictures also information about the text, and try to think that if those texts could be also brought out some other ways than exactly the same way than in the headline. Here these are similar, so that's also possible that way. But like, can't travel to Lapland, 10 ways to bring Lapland to your doorstep. So, and that kind of headlines like 10 things to do, or 10 tips to this, or 7 tips to that. These are really often used, for example, in traveling area, or for example in some expert area when you are writing some expert blog posts, for example. And then also the right one, from global to local traveling, rethinking Lapland tourism in the pandemic. So this kind of ways that you have many other ways to write a headline, but remember not to use too many words. Try to be simple and clear, and describe what your writing is about. And these tips work for blog posts and also website articles as well. The same thing goes with the text. One thing to remember, if you remember nothing else from this training, is then the important thing: always write to the people you want to, the people you want to reach. Also, the thing that always go straight to the thing that you are writing about. Say first the most important thing. That is very important. Always say the thing that you want to say it first, and only after that you can give some background info. And many writers forget this, because we think that we want to kind of paint the screen to people that what we are writing about. We want to give the background first, or we want to say something nice first, and only then we want to start the main issue. But the best way to get your message to the people is to say it first. Say the message first, and only after that go to the background info. Because today we are in a busy world. We get so much information from the web and social media that we only take interest on those that that are those things that are saying to us immediately the things that we want to read. So if a person, for example, finds from social media an article which has a good headline, and the headline promises a person that, oh, okay, this article tells me where to find where to rent winter clothing in Lapland, and I'm going there, so I really want to read this article. So I do want to get the answer first, and only after that the background info. So always go straight to the business. And this goes together in every part of your text. The headline, say the most important thing in headline, the first, the start of the text, the introduction. Go to the point, straight to the thing. The paragraphs, start them with the most important thing you want to say. Say it first, also in paragraphs, but also in sentences. Start your sentences with the thing you need to say first, with the most important thing you need to say. And this is also a thing that you can practice in email. If you can practice on email this paragraph length, you can also practice there the headline. The headline is the text that you write after the person you're sending the email. So try to use email as your practice area and make yourself better writer there. Put the headline as in a way that what you write to your email headline. So that is like practicing headline writing. Go straight to the thing, describe what the email is about, and go straight. Say first the most important thing. And then when you start writing, remember the paragraph length, and then follow the tips here that always start with the most important thing, and only after that the next things. So this way you can get your message to the people, and they can also continue reading your texts. So the introduction is the few sentences in the beginning of your text, and usually you can think about it like, if you promise something in your headline, continue with the issue immediately in the introduction, in the first words and in the first sentences. So that way you get you keep the person with your text. The person wants to read it when you go straight to the business. So remember, start with the issue and provide a little bit more info about the issue that you have promised people in the headline. Also remember that when people are sharing content to social media, the first thing usually that comes there is the headline. Here is a screenshot taken from my test Facebook page. So this is a test page for our trainings, where I shared this Where to Rent Winter Clothing in Lapland article. And here, as this headline is quite long, there's nothing else coming among the headline to this social media post, but the headline. That's also the one reason why the headline is always meaningful. Always tell in headline what's the most important thing. But sometimes there's also the first words coming from the writing, unless the platform of the website does offer social share buttons where you can spot the places where you can write what's out. Was there a question? Okay, no, it's okay. So remember that the headline and sometimes even the start of your writing goes to social media, and that's why it's important to start the most important thing in your text. Then some other tips to make your text readable, more readable online. Always use your website platforms, like for example, we do in Viestintä-Piritta, we have WordPress. There are also some others which I will tell you later at the end of this webinar. But here, whatever the platform is, there are these headline spaces like H1, H2, H3. So use these for headlines and not like bold your headlines or make it bigger in a text. Use these structures in your websites that they provide. Do not color the text because it makes it harder to read. And do not paint the text as the yellow background there, because that makes it even more hard to read. These are also the things that are about the web accessibility, things that you should care about, like make your text as easy to understand and read as possible. If you use caps lock in your text, it means shouting. So do not shout. So only write caps lock when it's absolutely necessary. For instance, sometimes some names could be, or company names could be all caps lock, but do not shout. If you underline something, it means a link. So do not underline, because it leads people to think that you are having a link in the text. If you use bold, it also makes it more hard to read. So use bolding only when it's necessary. Sometimes, for example, names are bolded. And the italicizing is also, it makes text harder to read. So remember to be also clear in these kinds of things when doing making texts to social media. I mean, to the online posts. Then the subtitles, like the small headlines, as to say. So the subtitles in long texts, I highly recommend you to use them. If you have a long text where are loads of lines and loads of paragraphs, it helps a reader to see what happens in different parts of your text. So if you have a longer text than one word, A4 word page, then you should, and even if you have a full one A4 word page written full of text, you should have at least one subtitle in this text, because it makes it more readable. So subtitles help people to see different parts of the text. Like in this Where to Rent Winter Clothing in Lapland, there is one part of the text which is the subtitle, Find Renting Places from Your Holiday Destination in Lapland. So use these subtitles, the small headlines in between your text to help people to watch the text through and find the most important parts that they want to find. Help people to read your text better, and also make your text easy to read from mobile, because the mobile phones and mobile devices are the devices that we mostly use for reading. So here is an example of this special blog post where the 5 lines in the paragraph is on the left side, which is a screenshot from website. But when this website is pushed to mobile phone, then the paragraph goes to even 10 or even 11 lines long. And that is hard for an eye to see, to read. So make short paragraphs, use subtitles, so you can help people to read what they see.
Piritta, there
Yes.
is one question now in the chat box area. Could you check that out, please?
Yes, let's check it out. And now you can see this loop there. What was for H1, H2, H3? It's actually exactly this. I'll show now. You should be seeing the internet page. This is Where to Rent Winter Clothing in Lapland. So this is the main headline, which is H1. So that's kind of when you have the websites. The place where you put the text to the internet. So H1 is the main headline, and then when you go to the subtitle, so this is the H2, for example. And if there would be a subtitle under this line, that would be H3. So that is like the headlines and subtitles, which is the structure of the online specialties that help also the search engines, but also, for example, blind people to see and read easier what you have written to the web page. So that is what it is. Good question. Thank you for that. Now you should see my lists, pictures, and quotes. So here is just a reminder that if you have been listing things in your writing, like especially that's easy to remember if you say, okay, we are going to the holidays to Lapland, and I should take with myself winter clothing, skis, good boots, tent, and backpack. So there are 5 things. So it is easier for me, for a reader to see those 5 things as bullet list than as it is written in a sentence. So if you have been listing more than 3 things, in your text, put them as a bullet list, not to write them in a sentence. So if there are more things in a sentence listed than 3, then put them as a bullet list. If you want to, you can use quotes, which is the down right corner, the screenshot, and you can also use pictures to help people to help people's eyes to see what's happening in the text. Like, give people's eyes some breaks when they are reading even the short online texts. And the breaks come from subtitles, from pictures, from lists, and for example, the quotes. One certain tip for the links as well, and this also helps blind people to get the information from the internet, also works with the search engine optimization. So the links. When you put a link in your text, remember that you write down to the link what the link is about. So when you write down what the link is about, people see that this link is leading me to this place or what it is about. So like in the right down corner, as the research has proven that 92% of people fail to achieve their goals, which means that they are going from there, they are going to different to that place to read more about the issue. So give the information in the link. Don't just write read more here. That is not a good thing to do. But always explain and write down to the link where it leads you or what the link is about. That way you are doing search engine optimized information in your text, and that way you also help the blind people's to get the information what the link is about, and also the other people understand what the link is about. So from here we go to the last parts of the webinar. And shortly, I put together the search engine optimization, even though I have been talking about it through the whole webinar. Search engine optimization as SEO means that you create online content which is easy to find for search engines like Google. But the search engine optimization is a very, very long thing. It has some technical areas and some things that you might not be able to even take care about. But when you do the content, there are the certain things that you can always take care about when you write things. But you have to remember that search engine criteria, they change all the time. So remember that the things, for example, what I tell you today, might not be the most important things in search engine optimization tomorrow. They are changing things all the time, but by thinking you write to the people and by thinking that you write good content that is understandable, that makes your content better to be found in search engines, even though the criteria might change on a way. And one thing that goes to search engines this today is, for example, making good links, like in this slide I have told you. But as said in the beginning, those questions that we answered, and I had written you down those 7 questions, go to the people's minds. Answer to the questions the people have, and that means that answer to the questions like, what would you Google, what would you write to the Google when you are searching the content that you provide to the people? So try to go to the people's minds who are searching the information or who are needing the things that you provide them in your company. So that is the key to be found. Write down in your website and in your blog those phrases and those keywords the people are using when they Google you, your blog posts, or the issues that your company is providing. Go to the people's minds. So there are 7 things that you go back and think about later on when you go through your content in your website and in your blog post. So a few things. Headline meets the text you've written. They go hand in hand. Also, that your text is easy to read from online, so that those structured things that we went through just before. So that that your text is easy to read, it's clear, and it consists those keywords that people use when they talk and search about the things that you provide to them. Name the pictures that you add on your websites and on your blog posts. Name the pictures. So do not just put like IMG 20757.jpg, but put the name to the picture. A picture of women smiling on the beach. So that gives also information to the search engines. Also, add alt texts to your pictures. In the next slide, I will explain you a little bit about that. And pay attention to headlines and subtitles and try to use those as well and give people information about those as well as possible. And be short enough. It's enough. You don't have to say everything. Say what you need to say. Go straight to the business, and that's all. And use links as in a slide before I showed you to use. But these alt texts is that's one thing that you should pay attention also. It helps blind people to know and kind of see what is in the pictures that you share in your websites and your blog posts. If the pictures are meaningful, meaningful with your text, if they are bringing out some information that is meaningful with your text, then you should use this alt text format, and it can be used also in social media, but it can be also used in for example, in WordPress, where we are putting the pictures in our website. There is a place in WordPress where you can add alt text. So here on the left, the text is that would be seenable in under the term, like, we are not too serious, but we know what we're talking about. Meet Viestintä-Piritta's team. But the alt text behind the text is telling the blind person what is seen in the picture. So it says that the blind person, a man and 7 women are posing and smiling in front of the window inside the room, black and white picture. So this way the blind person can see what's in the picture. So that means the alt text. And from here we go to the last part of the webinar, and it's shortly about blog. We have been talking about blogging already, but we clear out now what is a blog compared to website. So a blog is a part of the web page or separate blog which is consisting writings and different kind of bloggings about different issues. For example, in Viestintä-Piritta's website, there is a blog where we write an expert text about social media and communication. And those texts are always written by our experts, by the name and by the face and by us who have written it. It's always our writing, and our voice can be heard in these writings. As then the other part of the website is more like overall text about our company. But the blog texts, the sound of a writer can be heard in the blog posts. So that kind of divides also a blog post from a website content overall. In bloggings, you can also, in company, under different company blogs, you can also print some personal views on different things, or you can write about experiences or anything that is concerned about your own company. For example, if you are providing some husky tours in Lapland, so you can write what does it feel about when you go to a husky tour, or you can write about what is it to make a handicraft, or you can write about how your customers felt when they were taking part of the husky tour. So that is the way the blogging brings out your company more alive. It's about writing stories and experiences and also expert posts. So blog post technically is something like this, what is in this slide. There is you have a blog post that is one thing at a time. I mean, again, the same thing. Write about one issue in one article. In the blog, the newest text is usually on top of the page. It can be written, so it can be text. Sometimes the blog could be just pictures. And sometimes it could be a video blog. So there are different ways to bring out the information, but you should know what to bring. So the information is like said by you, the pictures are taken by you, and it's written by you. Also, usually the blogs often have different kind of search options and keywords. So that's kind of a way that you can find information from this blog. And also, usually, and many times the blogs have a comment field, so people can comment the blog post, so they can add some kind of conversation and bring out what they think about your writing. Here's an example about this, how to write a blog post, and there under this blog post there are 178 comments under the blog post. And this is also one thing that you should pay attention to. When a person comments your post, be prepared to answer that person, even though it doesn't necessarily be a good comment. But remember to comment back, and so you show the people that you have heard what they have said. Different kinds of blog styles could be like tips and tricks, ideas and thoughts, like writings about daily life or writings about your company life, some experiences, what you provide. It can be expert interviews or customer interviews. It can be stories told about the things that are part of your company. It could be sharing reports or researches. It could be all of this, or it could be some part of it. So what is the best way for you to bring out the things that you want to bring? That is the thing that you should use in your blog. And as said, the blog is more personal. It brings out the way, the ideas that your company is, or what's inside your head, or what are your experiences. That the person is behind blog, very important. So remember to think about the blog in a way that it can be part of your website. It can be part of your company website, or you can just have a blog which is only blog posts. then you should find out like what kind of blog to write. And remember that as you can share stories and experiences in blog writings, for example, those husky tours, then other people might be more interested about those experiences than just like book a husky tour from here. So tell people stories because people love to read stories and people love to hear what people have to say. And also remember that the blog posts might be the sites and the pages on your website that might be read more than your normal sites. So sometimes the blog is a very good thing, a very good part of your website to bring people to your website to read more. So let people get in touch with you when you use a blog. Give this comment field under your blogs. Give them this the possibility to share your bloggings, for example, to social media, or add some other possibilities for people to be in touch with you. For example, the smart blogger about this how to write a blog post, blogging. There is this the blog. There is like free training. Teach me. So make people to be in touch with you when you have a blog on your website. Make them to be in touch and get connected with you so you can reach them later too. So the last tricks actually are coming up. So here, good blog post. Go straight to the business. So again, the same thing. Go straightly to the issue you are writing about. Make your blog easy to read. Make it personal, understandable. Talk about one thing at a time, and make a reader to think maybe something about differently or experience something with you. Give tips or tricks or tell facts and share information and make people want to read it all the way through till the end. And if the text is good, if the people think that your blog post has been really good, they want to share it to social media too. And when your headline is good, then people who see the share in social media, they read your headline, and after that, again, they come to your webpage and they read your blog and they share it to the world. So here we go, kind of coming back together to the issue that that we when we create understandable and good content, we can give people information that they want to read. And here we have come to the end of this whole webinar, and the last tip for you is this. When you start thinking where to put a blog, you could also write, you could start, for example, from LinkedIn. Or the number 5 here, guest blogging. If you are not familiar with the blogging yet, you can start by searching blogs that already exist and ask those blog owners if you could write your own blog post on their site. Or if you have a LinkedIn, your own LinkedIn profile, you have there a LinkedIn blog place. So you can write to LinkedIn blog posts that are similar to web page blogs. But if you want to put up your own blog, you could use Medium, for example, or WordPress. And those are like web pages which are very good for blog writing and not that hard to use. But those do need more than just like going to LinkedIn and writing a blog post there. So there are a few tips for platforms for blogging, and here we have come to the point where it's 4:30, and I will give you answers to your questions. There are those questions, and I will start putting up and wrapping up this whole thing. So now we have come to the end of the webinar. I will shut down my share screening, and you still have a chance to ask questions if you wish to. So Päivi has asked, is it good to be a separate blog from your homepage, different platform, different program? I would say that if you use blog for also marketing your company, I would definitely add the blog into your website, because then you can bring people to your website. Even if they are coming to read your blog posts, then they come to your website, and when they have read through your blogging, then they can continue sharing the other content that is in your website. So if the blog is about your company and about your marketing, then definitely use the blog in your website. But if it's completely something else, then you can put up a different blog. Thank you, Olga, for your comment also, and very nice that you were here too. It was very nice to have this webinar again. Remember that there is one more coming. So there is one webinar. It was, now I have next online training, 2nd December. Yes, and we have social media, which is social media strategy as an issue then. So be very welcome. I will be talking then again to you. And remember, answer give us feedback, because it helps us to make these webinars even better. I hope you all get some information that helps you some way to go through and further with your marketing and communications in online writing and blogging. And if you have any questions later, feel free to contact me in social media. You will find me from Facebook as Viestintä-Piritta, in Instagram as Viestintä-Piritta, and in Twitter and in LinkedIn by my own name. So thank you for participating, and I hope to see you soon again in social media strategy webinar later on. Great, thank you, and have a good evening wherever you are at this moment.